From a display of Tyre Nichols photography in the California desert to sunset vigils and a new mural in Memphis, some are choosing to shine a light on how Nichols lived rather than how he died.
You guys are really doing a lot right now.
But it's the moments leading up to his death that were captured on video. Another brutal beating by police capturing the world's attention.
Like many people, I was speechless. When I really saw, the footage that everyone else saw, I thought it was the most dehumanizing thing that I've seen.
And something Linda Williams has seen before. When George Floyd was murdered in 2020, Williams, a Memphis native and retired Deputy Assistant Director of the Secret Service, was serving as president of the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives. She used her platform to urge Congress to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act.
It gave transparency and accountability to the American people, to society, that, law enforcement is not above the law.
The police reform bill would have banned no-knock warrants and chokeholds in federal drug cases and encouraged compliance from state and local agencies by tying it to federal funding. It would have also limited qualified immunity, which protects officers from most civil lawsuits and made it easier to prosecute officers accused of misconduct.
When we show that there are consequences, criminal consequences, that sends a great message.
The George Floyd Justice and Policing Act last passed the House in March of 2021, but died in the Senate some 2 years after that version was introduced and 3 years after Floyd's death. It was the killing of another unarmed black man involving police that sparked renewed requests to move the legislation forward.
We demand that Congress pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Joe Biden will sign it.
Vice President Kamala Harris called on lawmakers at Tyre Nichols' funeral. And on the third anniversary of Floyd's death, President Biden urged Congress to enact what he called meaningful police reform, saying he's willing to work with both parties on genuine solutions. Congressman Steve Cohen of Memphis says that's what it will take to pass.
I don't know what will happen now. The Senate's still split. They still need to have some bipartisanship, but President Biden has brought some about.
When the House passed the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act in 2021, the vote fell along party lines. Every GOP lawmaker from Tennessee voted against it.
And the bill is going to be considered, whether it'll pass or not, it's probably a long shot.
The WREG investigators reached out to every lawmaker in Congress from Tennessee to ask how they might vote if the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act came up again. We only got responses from 3. One of them was Representative Tim Burchett of Knox County, photographed here speaking with Rovon and Rodney Wells the night of the State of the Union. He tweeted, "Tyre Nichols' parents suffered an unimaginable tragedy." Now, a staffer told us he saw them in the hallway, spoke to them briefly, and gave them a hug. The spokesperson said while she couldn't say how Burchett might vote again, she shared his comments after voting against the original bill in 2020. He said, "Yes, our country needs to prevent the killing of unarmed Americans, but forcing one-size-fits-all federal standards on state and local governments will put law-abiding citizens at risk." Also noting Burchett was an original co-sponsor of the House version's Justice Act, which also addressed police reform. Congressman David Kustoff of Germantown didn't comment directly on the legislation in an email statement, but said on crime, "We can and must do better," and that he'd continue to work with officials at every level to come up with the best solutions to protect our community. Kustoff spoke out after Nichols' death, saying after the video release, police brutality has no place in our community or any community.
Well, we're used to seeing that in the House. The Republicans, any gun death, any mass shooting, offer their thoughts and prayers, but don't come forward with any activity to try to pass any kind of legislation. Thoughts and prayers doesn't hack it. And it's just difficult.
Maybe seeing the humanization of a human being, to see just a human life just snuffed. It was horrific.
I'm just trying to go home.
And that, Williams says, no matter one's background or political party, should move members of Congress to act.
So the time is now, and I would hope that this incident that we learn from it, that some good come out of it.
The day after Tyre Nichols' funeral, members of the Congressional Black Caucus met with President Biden to discuss the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Senator and now Republican presidential candidate Tim Scott, the lead Republican negotiator on the issue, said on Twitter the same day, quote, resurrecting the House Progressives police reform bill is a non-starter, but he believes they can get something meaningful done that a majority could agree on. Zanetta Lowe, WREG, News Channel 3.